The 2024 NFL Draft has now come and gone, and 11 new players are going to wear the green and gold. There is a ton of talent in this draft class, with many players that I was super excited to get, some reaches that I thought were risky, and some really good developmental players that can provide some benefits to the Packers a few years down the line. The grading scale is going to be a little bit different compared to my other grading videos, where an A here is going to be players drafted that have an immediate impact on the team and were great value for where they were taken. B is going to be for players that I still think are going to be really good for the Packers, but either were taking it a little bit early for me or were guys that were taken before other players that I personally would have liked more. C is for players that were taken either be a developmental project or were taken exactly where they were expected to be. D is for players that I thought were really drafted too early compared to where they're supposed to go. There are no Fs in this video, as I do think every pick here has a chance to provide value for the Packers, and I don't really want to ruin the hype for getting these new guys in the building with an F grade. So let's go on ahead and get started with the Packers' first pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, Arizona tackle Jordan Morgan. This was initially a bit of a shock that the Packers took Morgan at pick 25, as fan favorites of the draft process of Cooper DeJean and Graham Barton were still on the board. I too was initially shocked that they took Morgan over those guys, but after the initial reaction and thinking more about the selection of Jordan Morgan, and the more I learned about him, the more and more I loved having him on the Packers. He was a 3-year starter at Arizona, playing over 2,000 snaps at left tackle, and especially the last 2 seasons played at a really good level. According to PFF, in 2023, he had an overall grade of 83.4, with a run block grade of 77.0 on 310 snaps, and a pass block grade of 87.1 on 477 pass snaps. He only gave up 2 sacks, 1 hit, and 10 quarterback hurries as well. There are a couple of concerns for Morgan, though. One, that he had a torn ACL in 2022, so you kind of get worried about injury concerns there a little bit. And the fact that his arms are a little bit short for an NFL tackle, and that there are some talks that he could move to right guard for Green Bay. But I still think he's going to be absolutely incredible for the Packers, both on and off the field, as his character off the field has been really, really good, being a 2-time captain in Arizona. And so far, he has really impressed me throughout his interviews as well. Seems like a really team player, willing to do whatever it takes to help the Packers win. And that's the kind of guy I want to have on the offensive line. I'm super looking forward to seeing him play for the green and gold. For this pick, I'm giving Morgan a grade of B, as I do think there are a couple players I would have liked more than Jordan Morgan, but I do think we've got a really good player that will play for the Packers for years to come. Now, this is a pick that the Packers really needed to make, as the depth at linebacker was really, really thin after Devondre Campbell was released in the offseason. Cooper was mocked heavily to the Packers from the beginning of the draft process, with some people believing that he could even be taken in round 1 by Green Bay at 25. But we got him at pick 45 after a trade down with the Saints to pick him up, and I absolutely love this pick. Cooper was the number 1 ranked linebacker prospect in this draft according to PFF and multiple other draft outlets, and he is insanely fast, makes really big plays in the run game, and also is a fantastic blitzer as well, where he had 10 sacks in his last season at Texas A&M. In college, PFF gave him a grade of 90.8 overall in 2023, with a pass rush grade of 86.4, a run defense grade of 87.6, and a coverage grade of 85.5 with a missed tackle rate of 12.8%. Absolutely insane numbers in the SEC. I think Cooper's going to pair nicely with Quay Walker as the 2 starting linebackers for the Packers, and the new D coordinator, Jeff Hafley, is going to really take advantage of his athleticism and really use him all over the field. I'm giving this pick a grade of A, as Cooper fills a desperate need for the Packers defense and will be a great player for this team as well. Great pick. Now it is time for the obligatory Georgia defender pick the Packers seem to make every single year. All jokes aside, I do really, really love this pick. I've been mocking Bulliard to the Packers for a while, and to see him get picked at 58 for Green Bay without having to trade up for him made me really, really happy. He is a very versatile defensive back, playing several snaps between deep safety as well as slot defender in both 2022 and 2023 in Georgia, and there he played really, really well for the Bulldogs. PFF gave him an 82.8 grade overall in 2023 with a really dang good coverage grade of 88.4, missed tackle rate of 10.8%, and a forced incompletion rate of 26.9%, which is insane. When targeted, Bulliard only gave up a passer rating against of 34.0 and had 2 interceptions last year as well. He's going to be an absolutely incredible weapon for Jeff Hafley to use all over the defense, and his skill set matches up really nicely with free agent signee Xavier McKinney. He also seems really happy to be a Packer, as after he was drafted to Green Bay, there was a video that circulated around online of him being very, very enthusiastic about being a Packer. Love this pick, and I'm going to give it a grade of A, as he's going to be a very versatile weapon for this Packers secondary, which desperately needs help. The first of the Packers' 2 third-round picks was used to draft running back in Marshawn Lloyd out of USC. This is a pick that I do really like, and several other draft analysts do as well, with them calling Lloyd potentially the best running back prospect in this draft. And I do think Lloyd is going to fit very well in Matt LaFleur's running scheme, and will probably take over for Josh Jacobs as a primary starter in a couple years if everything goes right. But for now, he'll be a really darn good backup running back, splitting those carries with A.J. Dillon throughout the season. PFF gave him an overall grade of 81.7 with a rushing grade of 87.2 and a gap grade of 93.0, meaning that he tackles really, really well, able to bounce outside pretty good, and he looks to seem to do more of that in Green Bay. I've given this pick a grade of B. I think Lloyd is going to be a good player for the Packers for the next couple of years, but his impact will be lessened due to him playing behind Josh Jacobs for the first couple seasons of his career. This was the first pick of the draft where I was genuinely confused on why the Packers decided to take this player. Hopper was projected to be a 6th, 7th round pick coming off a terrible 2023 season, and I often refused to draft him on mock drafts due to that poor performance. So the Packers really drafted him early according to the general consensus of where he was supposed to go. Hopper is a very athletic prospect, often flying around the field at a high speed, which the Packers do need at the linebacker position. But he really did struggle last season at Mizzou, grading out at 51.5 overall according to PFF, with a pass rush grade of 64.2, a run defense grade of 60.9, a coverage grade of an abysmal 39.6, and a missed tackle rate of 22.7, which is really, really high. I just don't understand taking Hopper, who will most likely be a special teamer, this early in the draft. We could have waited a couple of rounds to have him taken much later than this. I'm giving this pick a grade of D, as the logic behind it really does not make sense to me at all. But I really do hope he proves me wrong and has a very solid NFL career in Green Bay. The first pick of day 3 for the Green Bay Packers was one that I felt was a little bit of a reach with safety Evan Williams out of Oregon. But I don't think it was as bad as a reach as Hopper was in round 3, as Williams was projected to be going around 5th round in the draft, and he had a solid season at Oregon in 2023. He was a very versatile defender in college, lining up in the box, deep safety, and slot, often mixing between the three, and graded decently as well according to PFF. He had an overall grade of 76.0, a run defense grade of 72.0, a coverage grade of 72.2, and a missed tackle rate of 13.8%. But the main reason why he wasn't projected this highly was due to his lack of athleticism at the next level. I do think Williams can be a good situational safety, but that will also play well on special teams. But in the 4th round, you could do better in that in terms of value. Overall, I'm giving this pick a grade of C, as I do think Williams will be that good rotational safety for Packers and will provide tremendous value on the special teams unit as well. Jacob Monk, the Packers' first 5th round pick, wasn't really a player that many teams had on their radar, and certainly not one that many draft analysts had their eyes on either. But the Packers saw something in him while at Duke, where he primarily played at guard. He has a ton of flexibility, as he theoretically could play tackle, guard, and center for the Packers, which is a quintessential trait that they look for in offensive linemen. According to PFF, he had an overall grade of 64.8, a pass block grade of 68.0, and a run block grade of 63.2. He will be an incredible depth piece for the Packers, who can really play anywhere along the offensive line. Overall, I'm giving this pick a grade of B, as this is a really good pick this late in the draft for a good depth piece that will provide tremendous value for the Packers if someone goes down with an injury. This was another pick that I have been mocking to the Packers for a while now, as I thought Oladapo's skills would translate very nicely to the Packers secondary. Much like Evan Williams and Javon Bulliard, Oladapo could play anywhere in the secondary, having significant time in the slot, box, and as a deep safety as well. but has mainly played in the slot and box as that better suits his skill set. PFF gave him an overall grade of 88.3 in 2023, with a coverage grade of 84.4 and a run defense grade of 91.3. He also had a missed tackle rate of 12.1% and forced an incompletion rate of 19.44%, which is absolutely incredible. Oladapo, again, is going to be a super athletic weapon to be used on Jeff Hafley's new, very aggressive defensive scheme, and I'm giving this pick a grade of A, since I've really wanted the Packers to take Oladapo, and I really do think he's going to be an incredible player for the Packers, again, for a long time. Travis Glover was the Packers' only pick in the 6th round this year, and he is a stereotypical Packers late round draft and develop tackle that will turn out to be a solid starter in a few years' time because, of course, why not? He had a 72.5 overall grade according to PFF in 2023 at Georgia State, with a pass block grade of 81.6 and a run block grade of 67.3. But I'm going to give this a grade of C, as this is a pretty typical Packers move to develop a guy who has the raw traits. But there is a strong chance that he could turn out like Josh Nijman and Rasheed Walker in a few years after getting strong coaching from the Packers offensive line coaches. This was a bit of a surprise pick at this point at the draft, not because of the position, as Brian Gutekunst stated that he wanted to take a quarterback in this year's draft, but who was available to take here. And the fact that Michael Pratt was seen here at 245 after being hyped up as a 3rd to 4th round type player means that the Packers have gotten themselves a really good backup quarterback for the next few seasons. Pratt played pretty well at Tulane these past 2 years, having a touchdown to interception ratio of almost 5-1, with throwing 49 touchdowns to only 10 interceptions. PFF gave him an overall grade of 78.3 last season, which is really solid. I really like this pick because it gives incumbent backup Sean Clifford some competition, and if Pratt plays well in the preseason / spot starts if Jordan Love gets hurt, the Packers could then trade him for draft capital in the future, much like how they used to do with Brett Favre's backups like Matt Hasselbeck and Aaron Brooks. This is just overall a really smart pick, and I'm going to give it a grade of A. Good luck, Michael. I hope you wish you the best. If you told Packers fans that they would be taking Kalen King in the NFL draft in the beginning of the NFL season, they probably would have thought that we were drafting really high, as after his 2022 season, King was expected to be one of the top corners in this year's draft. But instead, after a pretty abysmal 2023, King dropped all the way to pick 255, and I really think this is a low-risk, high-reward selection by Green Bay. Yes, his 2023 was terrible, posting a PFF grade of 60.3 overall, with a 55.7 coverage grade, a 73.6 run grade, and a man coverage grade of 48.6, and a zone grade of 61.5, and allowed a passer rating against of 82.4. But his 2022 year was absolutely incredible, having a PFF grade of 89.0 and a passer rating against of 48.9. Now, King has a massive chip on his shoulder, and if Packers get his 2022 version, watch the heck out for the Packers secondary, as him, Stokes, Valentine, and Alexander will be a pretty tough 4 corners to beat. This pick gets an A, as this is the exact kind of risk you want to take in the 7th round. Overall, I thought this was a really, really good draft for the Packers. It started out strong with 4 really good picks in Morgan, Cooper, Bullard, and Lloyd. Got a bit weird with a couple of reaches in the middle rounds, with especially Hopper and Williams. But then at the end, the Packers took some really good players that, if they are developed correctly, can turn into really good players. I'm giving this draft a grade of B due to those strong first 4 picks and the end of the draft as well. But the weak middle does not make it quite as high as an A for me. But I am really excited to see all these young men give it all this upcoming season, and I'll be looking forward to keep an eye on them here in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more, and I will be back soon. See ya.